This has been the last day of hearings for this year, and like so much in the New Year period, it's a chance both to look back and to look forward. It's now 2.5 years since the inquiry began. It would have been great if I had been in a position to present its report before 2021 begins. Not a week goes past without my remembering that speed is important. But I promised also to be reasonably thorough. And I would hope that whatever your perspective on the inquiry, you can see for yourselves that the inquiry has been and is being just that. Without the time taken in preparation and the evidence given in writing and orally, often deeply moving, often troubling, always valuable, the inquiry would not have been able to ask the questions Ms. Richards and her team so searchingly have done over the past 3 months. The evidence of one clinician is not always easy to reconcile with that of another, or the documents, or the evidence of those infected and affected. Well, like all of us, they're people. They have different ways of looking at what happened and different abilities to address it when recalling the past. But overall, a broad picture of what happened and why is slowly beginning to emerge for me, and a foundation for concluding what might have been done is gradually being laid. Well, thank you for your patience so far through the current pandemic. Many of you will have wanted to see witnesses give their evidence in person rather than on a big screen, and I've little doubt that many of you would have welcomed the collective comfort of meeting in Fleetbank to hear that evidence. And witnesses, too, have said they would rather be here in person. You know I would have preferred it, but we've done what we could so far as the restrictions have allowed it. Well, so much for looking back. What about the future? Well, I hope that from January it will be possible to hear more evidence in person. Indeed, you'll see that the timetable, some of which Ms. Richards has outlined, envisages this. Obviously, we may have to adapt for the whim of the virus. That evidence will continue to come from haemophilia doctors, and then, towards the end of January, we'll hear from the expert group on medical ethics. They may have had something to reflect on. In February and in March, we shall take evidence on the Haemophilia Society and trusts and schemes. In late March, on Trelaw's School, and as you've just heard, in the Belfast Haemophilia Centre. Council team will also give a presentation on the smaller haemophilia centres. After Easter, we plan to take evidence from campaigners and then government witnesses, including ministers and civil servants, those who had responsibility for decisions taken at the time within government, who can best shed a light on the events this inquiry is charged with investigating. Looking further ahead, still, to the autumn. Then we'll be scrutinising the evidence about the blood services and pharmaceutical suppliers. Infections transmitted by blood transfusions will come to the fore in many of those hearings. But as always, the hearings are just the visible tip of the inquiry's work. The great bulk of the work continues until the hearings begin again in January, even while this inquiry room stands empty. Though you will, I'm sure, understand that there are 1 or 2 days or so during the Christmas period when no one is likely to be at work. Just to emphasise the sheer scale of the investigation, more than 14 million pages have been reviewed for potential relevance. This material has come from over 600 document providers, including international, archives, trusts, haemophilia centres and government bodies, as well as from individuals. The documents stretch back to the 1920s. There is more yet to come, but throughout, be assured, I am conscious of the passing of time. Well, finally, let me turn from past and future to present. Christmas is an enjoyable time of the year for many, but it can be a very difficult time for those who've lost loved ones or are struggling with the difficulties of infection. Especially in this particularly challenging year, which has more than most brought the realities of infections home to people. I hope that whoever you are, you're able to make the best of this holiday season. I'm sure you'll join me in wishing all involved in this inquiry, in whatever way, a better 2021. Thank you.